Despite Gary Bettman saying this past summer that teams would no longer have themed night jerseys, VGK and other NHL teams still have special theme nights planned this upcoming season. We'll tell you about what the Golden Knights have planned on theme nights coming up next.
You're Locked On Golden Knights, your daily podcast on the Vegas Golden Knights, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hi again, everyone. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Subscribe on the YouTube channel and make sure that you also go to X, and that is at Tony Dasco, at TD Chris G, at Locked On VGK, and the YouTube channel, by the way, is Locked On Golden Knights. And we are brought to you today by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a special personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. So, Chris, we remember the NHL controversy about wearing special jerseys during warm-ups, and especially for Pride nights and the specialty nights around the league. We did see a host of teams yesterday, however, come out with theme nights and a calendar that they're going to have all of these special events planned for the upcoming season. And so VGK has 15 theme nights that they have planned. It starts with Ninth Island Night, and that is September the 29th, and that'll be on the eve of the UNLV Hawaii football game at Allegiant Stadium. A lot of Hawaiians will be in town, and I hope that they are planning on raising money for Maui there. But let's get into talking about some of the theme nights and what appeals to you.
I mean, the first thing that hits my radar on this is the Pride Night has been relocated from the regular season to a preseason game. You have the controversy with the jerseys, and then it's a weird situation, and I hope things maybe get resolved as time goes on. And maybe this is a weird hypothetical here, but the NHL said teams cannot wear themed jerseys in warmups. Is this a regular season only thing? Maybe in the preseason it's a little bit different. I don't know. Maybe the Golden Knights will, turn the tables on the NHL and they'll say, well, you just told us regular season only, so here come the boys in the Pride jerseys for warm-ups. I think that would be kind of interesting. I wouldn't be against that, but, I don't know. Moving on from that, what I did find interesting, someone on Twitter pointed this out. When they're doing Firefighter Appreciation Night, they're playing the Flames. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. So
Good
just
idea.
little things
one.
like that. You mentioned the tie to the UNLV Hawaii football game. So there you go. So stuff like that is definitely cool. And it's nice to see him splitting up the first responders night into multiple nights to give, individual organizations. There you go, Tony. First one of the show. Individual organizations, their moments in the spotlight.
And one of the things that really hurts the Vegas Golden Knights is that they were raising money by the sale of these pregame warm-up jerseys. They were raising a lot of money in addition to awareness. And you mentioned that about VGK and Pride Night. So I looked around the league last night, and Nashville has Pride Night on April the 9th. Bruins hockey is for everyone, and that is against Columbus, and that is on 12/3. And then Anaheim Pride Night, October 27th. Kraken Pride Night, March 28th, and Devils Pride Night on 12/21 against Edmonton. So, why is VGK doing this in the preseason? You bring more awareness during the course of the regular season. And the one thing that I see with all these theme nights and what have you, a lot of them, let's face it, they are just check the box events. Check the box. Oh, okay. For instance, right? And I've always had an issue with this. We have Black History Month in the month of February. So shouldn't it be a month-long celebration instead of just one night for Black History Night? It's just check the box to me. And I don't know if it draws more attention or what have you, but it is what it is.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's hard to offer the perspective on that, but I do, going back to the jersey situation. So something, I think we talked about this over the summer. I figured out that just looking at the Golden Knights, how much the jerseys go for, using a conservative estimates, I estimated that the Golden Knights raised approximately $100,000 for the theme of the night. We'll say it like that, I guess, right now, for the theme of the nights. So I don't know if they did 15 theme nights in the past. I think 15 feels like it's more than usual, but let's just assume for a second they did use 15 theme nights for a second. 100,000 a pop. That's $1.5 million right there. Now, if 32 NHL teams will just, I know we're guessing high for a second, but let's just say 1.5 million times
Over
32
32
NHL
million, I would
teams.
guess.
That's almost $50 million in charitable contributions for, first responders, for all sorts of cancer awareness night, just all sorts of different nights that are not going to benefit from that. Now, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the teams or Bettman stated that they can do things, or maybe it was a Twitter suggestion. I honestly forgot, but the day of the game in a pregame warm-up skate or something like that, they wear the jerseys and extend the celebration, if you will, to
No,
a
that's what they were, but
practice.
that's what they were doing before. Oh, you mean maybe perhaps
Actually,
over at
like at
City
City National,
National?
at City National,
Okay,
yeah, not during the actual game
I
itself.
got you.
So just something like that. I mean, but seeing 50 million, I mean, let's face it here, guys. Seeing $50 million going away because Pride Night distracted less than 1% of the hockey players who didn't want to
Right,
wear the jerseys.
right.
All this money going away, it's unfortunate. I know everyone's not going to agree with that as we talk about this. I'm sure we're going to get a comment blasted, which is just unfortunate, but that's the reality. And I'm sticking to the fact that I think they should be able to wear all the jerseys in the
Yeah,
pregame and have the
yeah.
choice. Have the choice. Say it
Right.
like that.
And here in Las Vegas, everyone has been open to any of these theme nights. And again, it does raise so much money here. And it also opens up your fan base a little bit more.
Sure.
Hockey is for everyone? No, hockey's not for everyone, because if it were, then they would have these themed jerseys that they could wear before the specialty nights. And a story. And a story. And then
Hockey is for everyone until it becomes a distraction.
until it's not. And that's the one issue. I've got a few issues with hockey right now. So law enforcement night, these are good ones. Military appreciation night,
Everyone's a good night. Every night's a good night.
healthcare heroes, firefighters night, and as you mentioned, it's always been a huge night for hockey. Again, hockey fights cancer night. That's always a big night here in Las Vegas, and so many warriors show up at the games, and it's just unfortunate that they can't do more around these theme nights. I don't know what they're going to do. And by the way, why are they theme nights? KNIGHTS.
I have no idea why the Golden Knights would
Corny.
spell it KNIGHTS. I have
It's
no
so
idea.
corny. It's beyond corny.
I mean, listen, this is Vegas. Vegas is corny, Vegas is gaudy, and it's okay, Tony. It's okay. Stop. You not now you're being grumpy, Tony.
I know. WTF. Stay in your lane, Golick. Stay in your lane. And you're going to be shut up, Tony. I know. Coming up next, who are our candidates for VGK's breakout player for this upcoming season? We will talk about that next, right here on Locked On Golden Knights. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. The Jace Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use and gives you a peace of mind so that you are not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure that you have the medication in hand. Jace Medical is simple. They handle everything from the online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. I can tell you all about it because I just ordered my case, Jay's case last night. Don't get caught up unprepared. Basically, save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the code Locked On at checkout on JaceMedical.com. That's Jace Medical, JASE Medical.com. Use the promo code Locked On. Welcome back, Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, Chris Golick from Las Vegas. We appreciate you making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's Locked On Golden Knights. We're extra spicy today. And don't forget, on Fridays, it is WTF What the Friday. So we give you a lot to work with right there for What the Friday. So, Chris, we want to talk a little bit. Let's start a discussion about who will VGK's breakout player be this upcoming season. And so, my first stab at it, when we started to just throw that topic out there last night, could I say Ivan Barbashev? Because I just think he's going to have a season unlike any other that he's had. His career best, 60 points. That was in St. Louis in 21-22. And I think that with the top line, playing with that line, I think he can definitely eclipse that number. He played in 82 games total this past season, or the regular season, with two teams, wound up with 45 points last season. And then in the playoffs, he really excelled. 22 games, 7 goals, 18 points, and a plus 14. I think he means a lot to this team. And if they are going to repeat, I think that Ivan Barbashev will be a key component. And I was going to go with someone younger, but I just thought Barbashev might be that player that is a key for VGK this upcoming season. How about you?
Barbashev is unique in the sense that he has that 60-point season under his belt and all the points that he got with the Golden Knights in the playoffs. I don't see a path for him for not getting around his career high in points, especially with the pace he was scoring in the playoffs. I think that's a good way to start the conversation. I want to go a little lower profile, if you will. Nicholas Waugh. Nick Waugh in 21-22, 39 points, 78 games, 22-23, 30.65 games. His playoff line this past season, 11 points, 22 games. So regular season pace, obviously, that's about a 40-ish point pace. I really think that Nick Waugh has the skill set where he's being underutilized right now on the fourth line. That's not a bad thing either, because if Nick Waugh is your fourth line center, you've got a pretty good team and you're pretty strong down the middle. But Nick Waugh does have the ability to play on the wing as well. And there could be some shuffling, of course, without Riley Smith this season. Phil Kessel is not here to start the season, so that's another void in the top three lines that's available. And Nick Waugh, in my opinion, is the best pound-for-pound replacement of Riley Smith in the lineup, the closest to plug-and-play that we have. So I would like to see Nick Waugh, what he can really do in a full season of being among the top 9, and see if he can get around 45 points or so.
Another player that really stands out, and the other day you said he was skating with Jack Eichel and trying to learn a little bit more and help out his craft, and that is Pavel Datsyuk. 18 games played only last season, but 9 points. We got a small sample size, but we got an efficient sample size, I felt. +5 last year, and we saw a glimpse of his finishing skills, especially last season. So I have Dorofeev, and then what about a Paul Cotter type player? Do you think he could break out this season? He had just a little bit of a breakout last year.
I mean, I've been banging the drum about Pavel Dorofeev even before he got the opportunity to do something last season. And when he did get the opportunity, he did something. And spending time after practice with Jack Eichel for a half hour, that's going to help anyone's game develop just a little bit. Paul Cotter, I mean, it really depends on what his personal growth is and how he responds to camp competition, because the competition just got a little bit deeper now with Comtois coming in on the PTO. And I don't know if there's going to be anyone competing harder for a job. I mean, Comtois, he's not only trying to get paid, but he's trying to join the Stanley Cup winning organization. So he takes a 1-year deal in Vegas, hopefully. If the Golden Knights do go on a nice late run, that means Comtois gets paid next year. So that's it's going to be tough for Paul Cotter to compete with that, and it's only going to help Paul Cotter. I want to go with, and maybe it's not a breakout candidate based on who he is, but Shea Theodore. I really think that he has the skill set and the ability to flirt with a Norris type consideration year. And that's not taking anything away from Cale Makar, Eric Carlson. That's definitely not taking anything away from them. But Shea Theodore last season, he was right on pace for about 62, 63 points. Unfortunately, he did miss almost 30 games due to injury. So obviously he'll have to be reliable and healthy for that consideration to happen. But Theodore does have the ability to put the points up, and right around 70 points is the number you need to get to where your name is mentioned in that Norris conversation. And listen, if Eric Carlson gets 95 points or Roman Josi gets 80 something points, it might be hard for Theodore to crack that. But it'd be nice to see Theodore get around 70 points, and I think he does have that ability.
Yeah, pretty interesting list there. And, again, though, too, like when we look at breakout players, if he does make the team, Brendan Brisson, I think, has to be acknowledged because there's a player I think that they're
No one's
trying
giving
to.
him love all of a sudden. Like I
No.
was always kind of mad about him, and
Yeah,
I'm on board.
you are now.
I'm on board. I mean, I
Well, I
don't
think
think he's going
after
to
a
make the
summer
team,
of,
but I'm on board
yeah,
with them growing and expanding.
Yeah, a summer of conditioning and learning more about the system. Ryan Craig has spent a lot of time with him. I think he's been up with the team a bunch, and fans forget he was on the taxi squad last year during the Stanley Cup run. And so he was around that team an awful lot. And perhaps he's a missing piece. I'm not sure. What would you say, percentage wise, his chances are of making the opening day squad?
Oh, less
Or
than
is he,
10%. 10%.
yeah, he's going to be an add-on, you believe, later on. First
I
man up.
think so. He definitely could be the first man. Yeah, because I mean, they're not going to, as Ron Bjerg, as much fun as he was, he's not the answer to helping the Golden Knights immediately. I mean, I guess maybe if it's like a third line role or something like that, sure, but all being equal, if they need a winger particularly, it's got to be Brisson. But that's after, obviously, you got that log jam right now of Howden, Comtois, Cotter, Dorofeev, and Amadio. Basically, the five of them are vying for three positions. So you have to go about 3, 4, 5 injuries deep before we'll see Brisson. But if history is any indicator, we'll see Brisson by about February the 4th.
And we won't have a final line determination until when? All-Star break? How many times will these lines be juggled?
Oh, I was going to say we won't have I thought you were going to say we're not going to have the training camp roster until the All-Star break.
Oh, we're going to get into that next, of course. And we'll talk about that because VGK's preseason camp, we have yet to receive a release on the camp roster when the camp is supposed to open tomorrow, and just about every team has done so already. And we'll get into that next, as well as the VGK TV deal. We'll talk about that when we return right here on Locked On Golden Knights.
Go ahead.
Welcome. A great segue, by the way, there, Mr. Golick. Welcome back to Locked On Golden Knights. Tony Cardasco, along with Chris Golick. And make sure that you check him out on Vegas Hockey Now and on Twitter at TDChrisG. I am at Tony Dasco. We are at Locked On VGK, and that's on X or Twitter. And again, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights. Let's start here. So, VGK TV partner Scripps Sports has reached an agreement finally to air the games on Cox Cable, according to both the Review Journal and Las Vegas Sun reports yesterday. Channel 38 on Cox starting tomorrow. The preseason opener will be Sunday at 5 o'clock against San Jose. And again, this will be on local channel Vegas 34. Why is this deal so murky?
I mean, you have millionaires and millionaires and billionaires and billionaires all fighting for money and stuff like that. And when that happens, it takes time. And I don't know the specifics as to why it took as long as it did. But, bottom line, at the end of the day, as long as on Sunday someone can turn their TV on and check out Golden Knights preseason hockey without having to jump through all these hoops to find the game, it's a good thing. And we've seen this happen. Like, how many times, like when you have direct TV, there's a TV deal approaching, and so is the Super Bowl, and it happens to be on a big network, and it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen, contact so and so to ensure you don't lose the Super Bowl and stuff like that because they're working out a deal. So it's all leverage, it's all money. Like I tell Christopher and Allie, my son and daughter, when they ask why something happens, and I say it's all about, and they finish the statement, it's all about money, and it's all about money. That's all it is. It's all about I don't care what anyone else says as to maybe why it took this long or what the press release says if there is one, but it's all about money. It's all it is. It's all about the money.
Chris, VGK's preseason camp, it's expected to open tomorrow. And I'm just thinking, when in the world are we going to receive the roster of camp invitees? Every other team, pretty much, including my Rangers, they put out their schedules for the preseason and their camp invitees and everything that's going on and when they're going to practice and such. Something's amiss. Something is definitely up. And at the top of my list might be, I'm going to say it, might be a Brett Howden suspension, perhaps. I don't know. Going back to Hockey Canada, might be a Marchessault holdout in the same manner as a Fedorov and Lindros and Coffey and
You got
Larmer
blasted for
and
someone
Bjork.
yelled at you for not mentioning Fedorov in the.
Well, I just
holdout.
started reeling off some names that I just off the cuff. Okay, no, that's good. Okay, I forgot about Fedorov. Big deal. Yeah, that was one of the most famous.
And I
ones.
agree with you on that. I was just more or less giving you credit.
Right, of course. You should have known better with Larmer, your guy, right?
28.
Yeah, and Pavel Bore too. And so, can you hold out anymore in hockey?
I don't think so, but I could be completely wrong. I mean, I
Well,
think
these
if
were in
you
the.
do
You
hold out,
said
there's suspensions
these
and
were so
there's
long
money.
ago.
Like
You said these
like
were a while ago, right?
yeah,
So
yeah, they were. Yeah,
nothing
I said
recent.
they hit the first two numbers were 1-9 and 1-8 in the years when these were
Right.
happening. There's been very famous RFA holdouts and stuff like that, which is a different circumstance because the two sides have to agree on a deal. And if they don't, then the player's option is to play overseas or I think by December 1st or don't play at all. If you have a contract, I don't think you can simply give the team the finger and say, pay me or I'm not going to play. I think the teams are protected. I could be wrong about that, but I can't recall since post lockout, 05-06 season, whatever that was, someone under contract, not RFA status, holding out. And I don't think Marchessault is doing that. I think Marchessault understands the reality of the situation, and he's been very upfront about it through the media and stuff like that. He knows his contract is coming up at the end of this year, and he knows in Marchessault's words, not my words, in Marchessault's words, the team likes to take their time with those sorts of things. So, and I don't think that's correlated to why Marchessault hasn't been at the captain's gates, at least by Saturday. I don't know if he's come since Saturday through yesterday or not, or today. But I'm not too concerned about Marchessault. Marchessault is going to be fine. And whether he's fine in 24, 25 in Vegas or elsewhere remains to be determined, I guess.
Am I reading too much into this, that they're just holding out themselves, the organization, to release this list of players? They know who they are. They have the rookie camp. This is just suspiciously late.
No, it's a fair statement, Tony. I mean, listen, this is a professional sports organization with a lot of very smart people getting compensated a lot of money, and they do things in a very calculated manner in everything that they do. So there is a reason. Whether it's, you did mention the Brett Howden situation, I don't know if that could directly correlate or why it would. I mean, and I hope that's not the case. Brett Howden has been very vocal about the situation, and hopefully that's not. I don't think that if that were to happen, I don't think that's the reason the team has not put the roster out yet. But I also don't have a better reason as to why the team hasn't put the roster out yet, because I think you can be pretty open with however many players you can bring. I don't think McPhee and McCrimmon are up in the office burning the midnight oil, drinking coffee at 11 o'clock, wonder if they're going to bring Fleming in or not. I don't think that's what they're doing. I just think it could simply be, I don't know. I don't have a good reason. But they have a reason. They have a reason.
There's definitely something going on just based on what we've seen out of this organization in previous times and previous years. and we were looking over some of the rosters. The Rangers, I think, had over 60 players, that they're inviting, and it's a good experience for the younger players to be in there with the NHLers, and perhaps if they play well, perhaps at least get a glimpse of, they can definitely improve their worth there within the organization as well. It's just kind of peculiar. And then, Howden, one of the reasons why was because we mentioned him, because they still haven't come up with suspensions for the incident in 2019. Max Comtois was also on Team Canada, by the way, in 2019. And then suspiciously, and perhaps everyone's reading too much into it, Howden went dark on his Instagram and made it private. These are things we watch over the summer.
I get all that. And, being an athlete, I know we all would love that, to have the taste of that contract and that lifestyle, but it's incredibly difficult because you got people like me sticking a microphone in your face, asking for a comment and stuff like that. And then, if this happens to be the day Brett Howden checks out Locked On Vegas Golden Knights, here's, me and Tony mentioning, what possibly could have occurred with, him and other players and that just terrible incidents. And, if he's not involved, and we obviously hope that's the case, obviously the same with Comtois, of course, now he has to hear his name, him and his family have to hear his name brought up like this. And, these athletes, they don't have it as easy as one would like to think. And so I can understand why, him and Carter Hart and anyone else who did go dark recently on Insta and X and whatever else they're called these days, Facebook, whatever, I don't blame them. And I'm okay with that. I don't necessarily correlate that to a negative thing coming out in the media either, but time will tell. I mean, I think the biggest story in all of this, besides the terrible incident that occurred, is the details are out there. Like, I don't know why they're waiting any longer and what they're waiting, they being the investigation, the NHL, like, get it out there. People, not that people need to know, people don't need to know, but whatever happened needs to be appropriately penalized, I guess is the way what I'm trying to
No,
get at here.
you're absolutely right. And going back again, this goes back to 2019. Hockey Canada, like they
3-4
so
years
often
ago.
do, they try to sweep it under the rug. And then the NHL comes back and says they're going to announce suspensions for, according to Frank Saravelli and
July,
others.
right? This has
Uh,
been dragging since at least July, if it's not 3 or
well,
4 years, but
it was,
definitely
yeah,
July.
right. Exactly. That's my point. So they started like in March saying there will be suspensions, right? And then the build up, and all of the hockey insiders said it's coming out, expected to be released this week. We will announce suspensions from the incident with Hockey Canada. They've already paid off the woman up there, but the investigation was reopened by the authorities in Canada, and then the NHL finally had to respond. See, here's the thing that I have against the National Hockey League. If this were MLB and there was any kind of an incident, if you're proven guilty or not, they suspend you immediately, and then they'll do the investigation after that. If there's charges against a certain player in MLB, and we've had a lot of this lately in Major League Baseball, where there's a player and some incident happens where they break the law. Well, Major League Baseball doesn't just sit around and wait. They might suspend them with pay and then figure things out there. And then if they're proven guilty in a court of law, then they're going to act accordingly. And
I
those
mean, are you gonna
suspensions
suspend
will
like
be pretty
40
steep.
people though? That's the other thing. Like, I mean, however many players are on
Well,
the
there was like
roster,
five.
and
I
not
think
just the
there's
roster, but coaches who might
I
have
think
been
there
in
were
the
five. There
known.
were five involved, or thereabouts, 4 or 5, from what I read in all those reports.
Potentially involved, yes. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
allegedly, right,
yeah.
involved. But they've done the investigations, and now all we're waiting for are these suspensions. Why is it so secretive? I just don't quite understand that. So we'll follow
No
that
good, no
story.
no good answer. No good answer. It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah, and you're right. It was back in June, July. They said coming up within the next week, we're going to know who these players are. It's going to be embarrassing for any player. Cale Makar was on that team. For any player whose name is going to be mentioned and who is suspended. And then, too, in typical NHL style, is this like a preseason suspension? Is this going to be 5 games? How severe will
It
those
wouldn't be a
penalties be?
preseason. It wouldn't be preseason.
I know. I'm just being facetious, of course. Hey, I wanted to ask you if you knew where the Stanley Cup is at today.
Australia.
Yeah, it is in Australia.
I was looking for it on Saturday, and I forgot who I was talking to, and they said it was on its way to Australia. I was like, dang it.
Yeah. So they're having those preseason games, a couple of them. Arizona and the LA Kings are going to be playing a couple of preseason games already this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, I think it is, in Melbourne, Australia, which is really cool.
Why not regular season? Why not just do regular season games? I don't know.
Well, the travel coming
Well, because
back.
remember they opened the regular season last year abroad. Where was it? Where were the games last year?
Was that in Prague?
Yes, I think
in
so.
the Czech Republic, yeah.
Yeah, and it was San Jose, Nashville, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yep, I think it was. And so VGK's first, the thing about, we've talked about this before, the preseason camps are a day or two. And
yeah,
then,
but they've been skating for a week already. These guys are ready. They're ready.
I know, it's pretty funny. And then they're really banging each other, and they get out there on Sunday, the first game for the Vegas Golden Knights at San Jose.
Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think,
and
is
away
the
we
schedule,
go, right?
starting like that. Yeah, next Wednesday is the first home game, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the snacks are up in Press Row this year. If they still got the M&Ms and the
you have
popcorn
goldfish
and the peanuts and the no goldfish. I'm like goldfish.
No,
my
goldfish.
daughter loves goldfish. She loves them. She loves flavor blasted goldfish.
Hopefully by tomorrow we'll have this roster and we could take a look at it and see if there's any surprises. The only surprise now is that there is no roster released.
This guy here is dead. Oh, sorry, wrong team.
Wrong roster. And we appreciate everyone tuning in, especially our everydayers. We thank you and appreciate you so much, folks that put up with us each and every day. For my man, Chris Golick, I'm Tony Cardasco from Las Vegas. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Locked On Golden Knights, and we'll see you again tomorrow right here.